Hi, I'm Ken.
And I'm John.
And we're
all about tools.
There you go. Well, this is great. It's just the day after Christmas, and
thank God.
If you're there and we're here, that's about all anybody can ask for. Because I know there's still a lot of families that are together, and a lot of people have taken this week off. But nonetheless, I think we have a great show for tonight, and I'm really excited about it. It's kind of a change of pace for us.
Absolutely. It's definitely a sticky subject.
Oh, but not just sticky. I'm feeling a lot of slipping and sliding, too.
Okay, yeah, that could be, too. All right.
So this show is actually, we're going to be talking about lubricants, which are always an exciting subject.
And lubricants enhance the performance of your tools. Right?
Something like a slippery tool.
That's right.
And we're also going to talk about adhesives, which can save you in a jam because it can lock you right up when you want to be where you need to be.
That's right, exactly.
So anyway, let's have a seat and we can start having some fun.
This is kind of casual tonight. This is kind of just, like talk show type stuff, So what do you think, Ken?
Well, I tell you what, even though this is casual, at one point I'm going to go to the other side of this stage because we have something I think just kind of almost bizarre.
Yes. Here.
Oh, you're gonna show.
No, we're just gonna.
We're not just a little tease.
Right.
No, actually.
Sometime in this segment today, maybe a little bit later, we're going to demonstrate how we can dip this into this water, and nothing will happen except all the lights will probably go out. But that's going to be.
And John just got his hair cut, so he wouldn't have a hair problem in this segment.
But that's when we're going to be talking about lubricants, because it's a lubricant and a rust inhibitor and a waterproofer, I guess, if you will. But we're just going to give a little sampling of this because in a few weeks, the manufacturer of this is going to come to join us, and we're going to show you some really cool things that you can do with this product right here called Strike Hold.
That would be phenomenal. I'm excited about that, and
but you're easily excited. So
I am. I am, especially since we're talking about lubricants.
All right.
Okay, so anyway, we have here absolutely more stuff than I could imagine that we really had sitting in our storeroom, and we sell all of these things.
That's correct, we do.
So let's kind of just jump right in here. What do we want to start with? Do we want to get sticky or do we want to get slippery?
No, let's go ahead and start with the sticky stuff.
Let's get the sticky stuff out of the way. Okay.
And you're going to do most of the talking tonight. I'm just going to sit back and watch and learn, okay?
Oh, I think you'll do your own talking, too. First, one of the things I want to talk about really are items that deliver the sticky stuff.
Okay.
Okay? Here's something I'm going to talk about first of all.
There's a lot of things that deliver sticky stuff.
That's right. So one needs to be careful.
That's right.
Because it gets sticky. But this right here is a
caulking gun.
A caulk gun.
See, I knew that.
Well, that's because you're smart.
See, I don't just sell this stuff. I know something about it.
But what I'm sure you're about to tell me, and this was something I only learned probably about a month ago from Danny, and I never really had any idea about this. And when I say Danny, I mean Danny Homrick of Danny Designs,
right?
Who is an incredibly clever fellow.
Yep.
And he was explaining to me the difference in caulking guns, because I know as a fabricator, I learned to steer clear of the little junky, I call them the little painter's caulk guns where you twist the handle and pull it out. And,
right.
But they're junk. And every fabricator I know of and every tradesman I know of tries to go with the better gun that you typically see at a home center.
I like the ones with the gear teeth on the bottom, and this one doesn't have it.
No, this one does not.
Because they don't even make the ones with the gear teeth anymore, do they?
Don't know, to be honest with you.
I always liked those because it was like a positive ratchet.
Well, one of the things I have learned, especially from talking with Danny, was there are all kinds of different drives, amount of pressure that you can get in squeezing the handle. I always assumed that all caulk guns were essentially the same.
They're not just like a 1-to-1?
No, apparently they come 10, 12, I believe 15, and this one here is an 18-to-1.
Okay.
Now, how...
And tell our audience what that actually means when you're talking about 18-to-1.
That means it's like having 18 fingers pull this as opposed to one.
So, like, are you talking like 18 times, or the pressure that it takes to do this is 18 times less than the stroke on the cylinder?
My understanding is as you pull this, this will deliver 18 times more pressure than a 1-to-0.
So it makes it much easier to push the caulk.
it makes it much easier to push a high viscosity caulk.
Okay.
So, or a high viscous material. And how that translates, and this is important, the thicker or the more viscous something becomes, the harder it is to drive it out of a tube. And everybody knows that it's harder to drive a silicone caulk than it is a latex caulk.
Right.
And that's because the silicone has a much higher viscosity. It's much thicker. So in having a gun like this, it will drive, and the name on there, extra thrust, really means something. Not...
Can we get these labels?
Whenever you see this on the side of the barrel,
right.
that means something.
That's right.
So,
okay.
So if you see extra thrust, you want to be
watch
careful.
for that, ladies.
That's right. This is desirable. So anyway, I'm trying to mind my own business over here. So
now, how can we talk about adhesives and lubricants without kidding around a little?
I know we have
okay,
to,
folks, just bear with us a little bit here.
Bear?
Bear.
Okay. So anyway, the main point to this gun, and something I really came away from it talking with Danny, is this gun will give you a lot better action with a tube of caulk. It will deliver it with less strain. And all of you guys that have put in showers, you know that when you squeeze this and squeeze this and
right.
squeeze this, your hand begins to fatigue with time.
Right.
Once again, this will deliver the caulk to the end of the tube and out to where you want it with a great deal less effort than, let's say, a 10-to-1 gun, which is what you typically find in a home center.
Okay, very good.
So this is a big item. So
we've spent 8 minutes on this gun. We need to move along here,
yeah,
Ken.
that was my fears that we
That's
would
right.
burn
okay.
too much time.
Well, you would talk too much.
There you go. There's
all right. So let's move along
extra
here.
thrust where you can see it.
Right.
Now, another delivery system that I want to talk about, since we're talking about caulk guns, a very caulk-like gun, and we talked about this before, is the caulk's joint adhesive gun. And quite simply, this is just for delivering joint adhesive. It goes on
and
just
different
like
epoxies.
That.
It's
Correct.
not in this industry. It's just solid surface adhesive.
Correct, but you can get different pads.
Right.
These pads right here come in different sizes.
Correct.
So that allows you to use it in a wide range of materials. But I'm thinking primarily for the solid surface industry, which is what we sell it most commonly for. This is a 250 milliliter gun. I prefer this over some of the guns that are in the market. And
250 milliliter. Is that
correct.
like a quart? What is that? Is that 9 ounces or?
That's one of these.
Okay. All right. Does it say on there how much those are?
No.
Okay. All right. Because people ask me that all the time, and they go, "Is that the 11 ounce or 9 ounce or whatever?" But anyway, go ahead. Move along.
I'm clueless.
Okay. You're glueless.
I am glueless right now. But this is a 250 milliliter gun. The reason why I like this over some of the other guns you see in the market is one of the parts of the gun that really wears out fast is this area right in here, especially where the drive takes place because of this locking in on this arm.
Okay.
In some guns, it's plastic.
Right.
And that tends to strip out, and you don't get the life out of the gun that you would get out of one of these. That's one big advantage I like to these. Another thing is sometimes these cartridges will blow out either in the back, or sometimes you can get a split or fracture in the side or up here in the nozzle area, and the adhesive will get all over the gun. If the gun is plastic, that really causes a breakdown in the gun rapidly.
Yep.
So these guns I like because they're extremely easy to clean, take care of, and there's virtually nothing to fail. It's all metal. And not only that, but it's cheaper than the other gun.
Okay. Less expensive.
A lot of people see this. Exactly.
Less expensive,
Less
not
expensive.
cheaper.
No.
Right.
It's about the same per weight.
Okay.
Is that it?
Okay.
But this is a 250 milliliter gun. Something a lot of people don't realize is it's also available for the 470 milliliter cartridges.
Yeah, but that's the same size as that gun, isn't it?
Negative. If you look,
Oh, is that really?
side by
Oh, yeah,
side,
it is. Okay.
there's a big
And this is
difference there.
the 470 is primarily DuPont Corian.
That is correct.
Okay, great.
So you're not stuck just using the inexpensive guns that are out there. So a lot of flexibility there. And one other gun, and this is for all of you guys that have a
delivery problem.
Yes, air will prop you up.
That's right, exactly.
The great thing about this is, really, in all seriousness, if you have air in your shop and you do a lot of production in your shop, this is without a doubt the tool to have. This is far superior to either one of these the manual guns. The reason why is this delivers product adhesive by air. Okay. So this gun, though it is a little more than double the price of this gun will save you glue because you'll be able to find that you're able to draw a much more precise bead.
It's a lot heavier, though.
Oh, yeah, but you need that balance.
Yeah.
You get a glue cartridge up front, though, and it weighs out.
That's got quite a bit of size to it.
Well, yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not to me. You're making me nervous over there. But anyway, what it does is, one, it allows you to draw a very consistent bead. It allows you to draw the glue faster, which reduces your labor time.
Well, it also gives you more time to work with the product itself.
Exactly.
Because you're not spending all your time getting the glue out and then having to work with doing the seam or what have you.
So it'll reduce your labor time, increase your glue up time.
Right.
It will reduce the amount of glue, or it'll deliver greater number of inches of glue out of a cartridge.
All right.
And another really big thing, and I've told this to guys for years, it reduces fatigue. Because your guys in the shop, it's all about what reduces their labor cost to you, because that's the greatest cost in any shop is labor. The fact that you're not fatiguing your hand, you can do more work faster, it means your labor cost is dropped on any job.
Right.
By reducing your labor cost means it comes right off your bottom line, which increases your profit.
Right.
So this is, once again, a great tool. If you can in any way afford to introduce this into your shop, you're crazy not to.
Another gun that we have that we've not even shown on the show, we have one that's a battery-operated delivery system by, I think, Miratool. And, you know, for some reason, we've just kind of not even acknowledged that. So we'll have to get one of those and bring it in and show how that works one day. And we'll just give it a little bit of time one episode.
That's a great idea, but great tool, guys. If you don't have it, you need it. So I'll put that right there. Actually, I don't want it to fall and break.
Let's talk a little bit about the adhesives themselves.
Okay. We have here, actually...
What do you think of that idea, Ken?
We haven't even talked about these yet.
I know.
Okay,
well, these are okay, we'll just go with this.
But we'll stick with this.
Those all look like they're exactly the same.
Well, I'm not saying anything. These right here actually represent 3 different manufacturers. I should say 3 different wholesalers.
Okay.
There are actually only just a couple manufacturers of adhesive in North America.
Is that right?
Most people don't know that.
Okay.
And most products are packaged. Actually, if I hold these like this, most everybody would sit there and say, oh my goodness, they look the same.
Right.
These were all packaged by Mixpack. Really, often the variation...
They're not packaged by Mixpack. These are Mixpack cartridges.
Mixpack cartridges, yes,
right.
I apologize.
But they're not packaged by Mixpack.
Different packagers.
Right, exactly.
This is all part of the Mixpack delivery system. But often, and as you know, I used to work with a manufacturer.
Right.
A lot of people will buy adhesive from the adhesive manufacturer, and they will take and they will put on a label.
Right.
And they will market it as their own.
And that's called private labeling.
That is correct.
Right, which is fine.
There's nothing wrong with it. We actually sell, as you can see, different versions of the private label. And I'm trying to be careful here.
Right, absolutely.
As you can see, I have my thumb carefully put over the name of this company. But these products really don't vary that much. They in essence...
But do they actually vary? I mean, like, do they have, like, different manufacturers have their different formulation of the glue that makes them believe that they have one that's better, or...
To a degree, there are very subtle differences. Some glues are more opaque than others, which means they're flatter looking, and that would certainly be desirable with an acrylic, because acrylics tend to be more opaque. Whereas a lot of the polyesters you see on the market, or polyester hybrids, have more depth.
Okay.
So then you might want to be looking for an adhesive that might have a little bit more transparent quality to it, that would let some of the color come through and really jump for you. So as far as glues, I mean, I can only tell you what I did when I had a shop. I would often use whatever glue I had, as long as it color matched with my material. But that was my own thing.
Speaking of color match, what if you wanted to maybe make a different color with the adhesive?
That's certainly very possible, and I'm glad you
you can do it yourself.
You could.
Okay.
There are times, and I'm actually going to use this one right here. There are times when, as a fabricator, you either have to do a repair, and I'm very concerned we're going to run out of time here, so we may
Well,
kind
we've
of go over into the
got
next
3
segment.
minutes here, so why don't we, if you just talk a little bit quicker, we've got 5 minutes. Okay, we got 5. You got plenty of time, Ken.
I'm nervous, though. You know how it is. I'm going to put this tube in backwards because the only thing I want to get out of here is the adhesive. I don't want to get the activator.
Why is that?
Because if I ran the activator through a cartridge tip and, let's say, put it into a vessel like this, the problem I would have is the glue would be immediately beginning to set. The work time on your glue is anywhere from roughly 5 to 7 minutes. Most fabricators don't realize that. They think they can work with the material for 10, 12, 15 minutes.
Right.
It's really not the case. Working time for your joint adhesive is 5 to 7 minutes. So always bear that in mind when you're working with it. But by bringing it out this way, the benefit is I can bring it right out into this cartridge, or I mean out of this cartridge into this. Mm-hmm. And let me get that off of there. I'll let you hold that like that because we don't want that to
Thanks,
leak
Ken.
all over.
Give me something to do here.
That's it. But what I want to show you is today I brought some pigment. And we used to, when I had our shop, sometimes if we were doing inlays, or more importantly, if I had to do a repair and I was very concerned about how well that glue looked like the feel of the material, we could actually take and begin to color it. And by coloring it, all it would take would be a little bit of DuPont auto paint pigment is what I used to use.
Okay.
But there are a lot of different paint pigments out there. And what a lot of people don't realize is the glue manufacturers, to get these colors right here, that's pigmented. This is pigmented white.
Just like paint.
Exactly. Pigment is added to joint adhesive to make a color. But I can, by the same principle, I can take, I've got just a little bit of red pigment on here, and I can add this to joint adhesive.
Look at that. You just had a little dab on there.
Just the very end of the
So if you wanted to do an inlay for a customer, you could actually work up the color right for the customer till they say, that's exactly what I want.
Exactly. And we used to, and that's really what we did.
That's really cool.
And there's a nice, really a salmon.
Yeah.
That's a pretty salmon color right there. And that took just a little bit of the pigment. Now I also have.
Now you would have to mix that back with the hardener.
Correct.
And what ratio would you mix it? 10 to 1?
Exactly. What you would do is you really want to pay attention to how much you poured out of here. And then when you flip this cartridge back around, you could drive the same amount of
Well, now let
hardener
me
out.
ask you this. If you squirted it out in 2 cups, you would actually have the mix, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and you can divide it just like that if you happen to have the 2 cups. You just got to make
Okay.
sure that they don't accidentally mix because
Because they're going to...
that would be a problem. Now I have another little bit that I shot out, and I want to show you something else. Okay.
Let me hold that for you, Ken.
Well, that's the kind of guy you are. Right here I have, and I got very little of this, but it will still illustrate a point. That is just a little bit of yellow. And I don't know how well you can see it on screen. Hopefully you can see it. But that little tiny bit of yellow I scraped off that side wall.
So you need very little.
Exactly. That's
Now,
a big point.
could you use anything else other than pigment? Like, could you use like an oil paint or anything that's in a tube or anything like that?
No, you want to use just pigment. Because you don't want to introduce really what would be the equivalent of a foreign item to it. Because if you do, you're actually altering the adhesive then.
All right.
And then you're running into a problem.
Look at how yellow that came out with
That
just a
is?
little dab.
And I've got this, because I want you to see this, and this is, I think it'll really become apparent here. I have here, you see how little that is.
Right.
I don't know if the camera can get that. That is just a little bit on my toothpick, and I'm going to take and watch me just run a little stripe through this. Look at that. See what it did? Look at that.
Yep.
And they begin to mix it. Now the important thing I wanted you to see here is what I did now, and I may have kind of blown it here. Hopefully I didn't. But you remember what the first one was we mixed up, John?
The salmon or the yellow?
What was the first color we mixed up?
The first color was this red with the salmon.
That's right. I want to make a point here real quick.
Oh, you've actually kind of made the same color.
That's right. I wanted to show you that.
That's going back to school with primary colors and and art and what have you.
Now,
but we've got a break to commercial here, so.
But you can see I could, if I added a little bit more of my maroon to this, then I could actually make these colors identical. I came pretty close just by a little guess. So that goes to show you the important thing, guys, is what you really want to make sure that you do is when you start mixing anything for an inlay, or even if you're kind of custom coloring for a field for a repair, you really want to make sure you pay attention to your formula and kind of record what you do, because that way you can reproduce it over and over, and that's an important feature.
All right.
So let's
All right, after the break, we'll talk a little bit more about adhesives, and maybe we'll think about dipping the light bulb in the water, but I'm not sure. So we'll be right back with you in just a few minutes.